Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are tearing down a brand new and, I gotta say, intense model for managing elite teams. It's called the Honey Badger Management Framework. And yeah, just like the animal it's named after, this thing is aggressive, it's relentless, and honestly, it's maybe a little bit crazy. So, this whole framework was designed to tackle a massive question that leaders everywhere are starting to sweat over. In a world that is just packed with uncertainty, how in the world do you manage a team made up of top-tier human talent and increasingly powerful AI assistants and get maximum speed and performance out of them? And this is what they came up with, the Honey Badger Management Framework, or HBMF for short. Now, this isn't just some list of tips you'd find on a blog post. No. Think of it as a complete operating system, a whole new way of working for teams that absolutely have to move at lightning speed in really high-stakes situations. Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll get a handle on what this Honey Badger thing really is. Then, we're going to dive deep into its 4 core pillars. Its insane speed, a very controversial use of competition, and how it leans on AI and redundancy. After that, we hit the biggest question of all. Do these pieces even work together? And finally, we'll give you the final verdict. So what is this thing really? The best way to think about the HBMF is to picture a high-performance racing engine. It's built from some really powerful, kind of exotic parts. Our job today is to pop the hood, take that engine apart piece by piece, and see if each component is actually legit. And this right here? This is basically the blueprint for the entire system. These are the 4 pillars of our engine. You've got these incredibly short work sprints. You've got this wild idea of internal competition. You have AI formally built into the team. And you have redundancy, for resilience. These are the 4 powerful and, let's be honest, potentially dangerous parts we're about to dig into. Let's start with the first component, which is really the heart of the whole framework. It's absolutely blistering pace. We are talking about 1-week work cycles that you can cancel at any time. 1 week. Now, this isn't just about moving fast and breaking things. There's some serious economic theory behind this. The first idea is called real options theory. Basically, you treat every 7-day sprint like a choice, not a commitment. If an idea isn't panning out after a week, you just kill it. Boom, you cut your losses. The second idea is from batch size economics, which has proven over and over that smaller chunks of work just lead to fewer delays, less risk, and lower costs. So, does this part of the engine hold up? Oh yeah, the science behind short work cycles is incredibly strong. We're talking decades of research. It gets a solid A-. The only reason it's not a perfect A is that a 7-day pace is, it's really aggressive. You need a super mature organization to pull that off without it turning into total chaos. And now we get to the most controversial, most dangerous part of this whole engine-governed competition. The HBMF literally tells you to split your team into 2 sub-teams and have them compete against each other to solve the exact same problem, on purpose. And this right here, this perfectly captures the central tension of the entire framework. On one hand, you've got research on something called rank order tournaments that proves this kind of head-to-head competition can seriously boost effort and motivation. But the flip side is huge. Competition is also proven to lead to sabotage, people hoarding information, and a total collapse of teamwork. Basically, a toxic nightmare. Okay, so the framework knows it's playing with fire here, so it tries to build a fireproof box around it. These are the guardrails. The most important one is the guru. Think of them as a neutral referee whose only job is to enforce the rules and make sure there's no sabotage. And to stop people from hiding information, it forces them into daily older brother sessions to share what they've learned. It's trying to get all the benefits of competition without the massive explosion. So, does it work? Well, the evidence here is a lot shakier. The benefits of competition are real for sure, but they totally depend on these governance roles being executed perfectly. If that guru isn't completely empowered, or if psychological safety isn't the #1 priority, this pillar will absolutely fail and probably take the whole team down with it. That's why it gets a C+ to a B- grade. It's a real gamble. All right, let's move on to the last 2 parts of our engine. These are all about adding some technological horsepower and building in a solid safety net. We're talking about AI teaming and deliberate redundancy. So let's break these down. Pillar 3, AI teaming, is pretty straightforward. It's about formally making AI a part of the team to boost everyone's productivity.
The evidence for this is solid. We all know these tools can make us faster, so it gets a B. Then there's pillar 4, redundancy. This is a classic idea from engineering. By having two sub-teams and overlapping skills, you're much safer if someone gets sick or quits. It's a smart buffer, and it earns a B+.
Okay, so we've looked at all the individual parts of our Honey Badger engine. We've got the supercharged fuel system with these fast cycles. We have the risky experimental turbocharger of internal competition, and we have a strong chassis with AI and redundancy. Now for the single most important question. When we put all these pieces together and turn the key, does this engine roar to life, or does it just tear itself to pieces on the starting line? To really get this problem, the research paper warns us about a huge mental trap it calls the Lego fallacy. It's this mistaken belief that just because each of your individual Lego bricks is strong, any random thing you build with them will also be strong. It just doesn't work that way, right? Just because you have a great engine and great wheels doesn't mean you've built a great car. The pieces have to fit together. And this is where the HBMF faces its biggest, most critical test. This table lays out all the potential conflicts. I mean, just look at the clash between competition and psychological safety. Best case scenario, it feels like a healthy challenge. But the primary risk is that it just makes people too scared to speak up, to admit mistakes, or to report errors. The very pillar that's supposed to make the team faster, competition, directly threatens the one thing that any team needs to survive: trust. So, after we've taken this whole thing apart, what's the final verdict? Is the Honey Badger management framework some kind of revolutionary blueprint for the future of work, or is it just a guaranteed recipe for burning out your best people? You gotta give the author of the source paper credit here. They are refreshingly honest about this. This is not some proven, ready-to-use solution. They say, and I'm quoting here, that HBMF should be treated as a testable organizational hypothesis. In other words, it's a really coherent theory. It's a fascinating idea, but it's an experiment that is still waiting to be run out in the real world. And that leaves us with the final million-dollar question. In the end, this framework's success or failure really hinges on one thing. Can its whole system of governance, led by that guru, actually contain the stressful, destructive, and potentially toxic forces that its competitive core unleashes? The theory is compelling, no doubt. The parts are powerful. But whether they combine to create a high-performance engine or just a spectacular explosion, well, that remains the critical, unanswered question.